Today I'll be reading Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Chapter 9, The Midnight Duel. Harry had never believed he would meet a boy he hated more than deadly, but that was before he met Draco Malfoy. Still, first years, Gryffindors only had potions with the Slytherins. They didn't have to put with Malfoy much, or at least they didn't until they spotted a notice pinned up in the Gryffindor common room, which made them all groan. Typical, said Harry darkly. Just what I wanted. To make myself a fool on a broomstick in front of Malfoy. He had been looking forward to learning to fly more than anything else. You don't know you'll make a fool of yourself, said Weasley nobly. Anyway, I know Malfoy's going on about how good he is at Quidditch. Malfoy certainly did talk about flying a lot. He complained and loudly about the first years never getting in the house Quidditch teams, and told long boastful stories which seemed to end with him narrowly escaping muggles in helicopters. He wasn't the only one, though. The way seems Finnegan told it. He'd spent most of his childhood zooming around the countryside on his broomstick. Even Ron would tell anyone who'd listened to him about the time he'd almost hit a hang glider on Charlie's old broom. Everyone from visiting families talked about Quidditch constantly. One had shared already a big argument with Dean Thomas, who shared their dormitory about football. One couldn't see what was exciting about a game with only one ball, when no one was allowed to fly. And Harry had caught one prodding Dean's poster of West Ham football team, trying to make the players move. Neville had never been on a broomstick in his life because his grandmother had never let him near one. Privately, Harry felt she had a good reason, because Neville managed to have an extraordinary number of accidents, even with both feet on the ground. Hermione Granger was almost as nervous about flying as Neville was. This is something you couldn't learn by heart out of a book. Not that she hadn't tried. At breakfast on Thursday, she bored them all stupid with flying tips she'd got out of a library book called Quidditch Through the Ages. Neville was hanging on to her every word, desperate for anything that might help him hang on to his broomstick later. But everybody was very pleased when everybody else was very pleased when my lecture was interrupted by the arrival of the post. Harry hadn't had a single letter since Hagrid's note, something that Malfoy had been quick to notice. Of course, Malfoy's something that Malfoy had always been quick to notice, of course. Malfoy's eagle owl was always bringing him back passages of sweets from home, which she opened gloatingly at the Slytherin table. A barn owl brought Neville a small package from his grandmother. He opened it excitedly and showed them a glass ball the size of a marble, which seemed to be full of white smoke. It's a remember ball, he explained. Gran knows I forget things. This tells you if there's something you've forgotten to do. Look, you hold it tight like this and if it turns red. Oh. His face fell because the remember wall had suddenly glowed scarlet. You've forgotten something. Neville was trying to remember what he'd forgotten when Draco Malfoy was passing the Gryffindor table, snatched the remember wall out of his hand. Harry and Ron jumped to his feet while they were half hoping for a reason to fight Malfoy, but Professor McGonagall, who could spot trouble quicker than any teacher in the world, was there in a flash. What's going on? Malfoy's got my remember wall, Professor, scowling. Malfoy quickly dropped the remember wall back on the table. Just looking, and he slipped away with Crabbe and Goyle behind him. At 3:30 that afternoon, Harry, Ron and the other Gryffindors hurried down the front steps into the grounds for their first flying lesson. It was a clear, breezy day, and the grass rippled under their feet as they marched down the sloping lawns towards smooth lawn on the opposite side of the grounds to the forbidden forest, whose trees were swaying darkly in the distance. The Slytherins were already there, and so were 20 broomsticks lying in neat lines on the ground. Harry had heard Fred and George Weasley complain about the school brooms, saying that some of them started to vibrate if you flew too high, or always flew slightly to the left. Their teacher, Madam Hook, arrived. Hooch. She had short grey hair and yellow eyes like a hawk. Well, what are you waiting for? She barked. Everyone stand by a broomstick. Come on, hurry up. Harry glanced down at his broom. It was an old and some of the twigs stuck out at odd angles. Harry's broom jumped into his hand at once, but it was one of the few that did. Hermione Granger's had simply rolled over the ground, and Neville's hadn't moved at all. Perhaps brooms, like horses, could tell when you were afraid, thought Harry. There was a quaver in Neville's voice that said only too clearly that he wanted to keep his feet on the ground. Madam Hooch! Then show them how to mount their brooms without sliding off the end. And walked up and down the rows, correcting their grips. Harry and Ron were delighted when she told Malfoy he'd been doing it wrong for years. Now, when I blow my whistle, you kick off from the ground hard, said Madam Hooch. Keep your broom steady, ride a few feet, and then come straight down, back down by leaning forward slightly. On my whistle, 3, 2, 1. But Neville, nervous and jumpy and frightened of being left on the ground, pushed off hard before the whistle had touched Madam Hooch's lips. Come back, boy, she shouted, but Neville was riding straight up like a cork shot out of a bottle. 12 feet, 20 feet. Harry saw his scared white face look down at the ground, falling away, saw him gasp, slide sideways off the broom, and wham! A thud and a nasty crack, and Neville lay face down on the grass in a heap. His broomstick was still rising higher and higher and started to drift lazily towards the forbidden forest and out of sight. And Hutch was bending over Neville, her face as white as his. Broken wrist. Harry heard her mutter, "Come on, boy, it's all right. Up you get. Now, none of you is going to move while I take this boy to the hospital wing. You leave those brooms where they are, or you'll be out of Hogwarts before you can say Quidditch. Come on, dear." Neville, his face tear-streaked, clutching his wrist, wobbled off with Madame Hooch, who had her arm around him. No sooner were they out of earshot that Malfoy burst into laughter. "Did you see his face, the great lump?" The other Slytherins joined in. "Shut up, snap. Shut up, Malfoy," snapped Parvati Patil. "Ooh, sticking up for Longbottom," said Panty Packerisen, a hard-faced Slytherin girl. "Never thought you'd like fat little crybabies, Parvati." "Look," said Malfoy, darting forward and snatching something out of the grass. "It's that stupid thing Longbottom's gran sent him." "Give that here, Malfoy," said Harry quietly. Everyone stopped talking to watch Malfoy smile nasty. "I think I'll leave it somewhere for Longbottom to collect. How about up a tree?" "Give it here!" Harry yelled, but Malfoy had leapt on his broomstick and taken off. He hadn't been dying. He could fly well. Harry grabbed his broom. "No!" shouted Hermione Granger. "Madame Hutch told us not to move. You'll get us all into trouble." Harry ignored her. Blood was pounding in his ears. He mounted the broom and kicked hard against the gun and up. Up he soared. Air rushed through his hair, and his robes whipped out behind him. And a fierce rush of joy. He realized he'd found something he could do without being taught. This was easy. This was wonderful. He pulled his broomstick up a little to take it even higher and heard screams and gasps of girls back on the ground and an admiring whoop from one. "Give it here!" Harry called, "or I'll knock you off that broom." "Oh yeah," said Malfoy, trying to sneer, but looked worried. Harry knew somehow what to do. He leant forward and grasped the broom tightly, and it shot towards Malfoy like a javelin. Malfoy only just got out of the way in time. Harry made a sharp about turn and held the broom steady. A few people below were clapping. "No crab and Goyle up here to save your neck, Malfoy," Harry called. "Catch it if you can then," he shouted, and he threw the glass ball high into the air and streaked back towards the ground. Harry saw, as though in slow motion, the ball rose up in the air and started to fall. He leant, gathering speed, whistling the ball. When whistling his ears on getting, and he called it, "Harry Potter!" His heart sank faster than he just died. Professor McGonagall was running towards them. He got his feet trembling. Never in all my time at Hogwarts. Professor McGonagall was almost speechless with shock. How dare you! You might have broken your neck. It wasn't his fault, Professor. Be quiet, Miss Patel. But Malfoy, that's enough, Miss Weasley. Potter, follow me now. Harry caught sight of Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle's triumphant faces as he left, walking numbly in Professor McGonagall's wake as she strode towards the castle. Now he'd done. He hadn't even lasted 2 weeks. He'd be packing his bags. What would the Dursleys say when he turned up on the doorstep? Up the front steps, up the marble staircase inside, and Professor McGonagall didn't say a word to him. She wrenched the door open and marched along corridors with Harry trotting miserably behind her. Maybe she was taking him to Dumbledore. He thought of Hagrid, expelled, but allowed to stay on as gamekeeper. Perhaps he could be Hagrid's assistant. His stomach twisted as he imagined it, watching one and the others being wizards, while he stomped around the grounds, carrying Hagrid's bag. Professor McGonagall stopped out a classroom. Excuse me, Professor Flitwick, could I borrow wood for a moment? Wood. Dr. Harry bewildered. Was wood a cane she was going to use on him? But wood came out to be a person, a burly fifth-year boy who came out of Flitwick's class looking confused. Follow me, too, said Professor McGonagall, and they marched on up the corridor, Wood looking curiously at Harry. In here! Out, Peeves! She barked. Peeves threw the chalk into a bin which clanged loudly, and he swooped out, cursing. Professor McGonagall slammed the door behind him and turned to face the boys. Potter, this is Oliver Wood. Wood, I found you a new seeker. Wood's expression changed from puzzlement to delight. Are you serious, Professor? Absolutely, said Professor McGonagall crisply. The boy's a natural. I've never seen anything like it. Was that your first time on a broomstick, Potter? Harry nodded silently. He didn't have a clue what was going on, but he didn't seem to be an expert, and some of the feelings started coming back to his legs. He caught that thing in his hand after a 50-foot dive. Professor McGonagall told Wood didn't even scratch himself. Charlie Weasley couldn't have done it. Wood was now looking as though all his dreams had come true. Ever seen a game of Quidditch, Potter? He asked excitedly. Was captain of the Gryffindor team. Professor McGonagall explained. He's just a build for a seeker too, said Wood, now walking around Harry and staring at him. Light, speedy. We'll have to get him a decent broom, Professor. A Nimbus 2000 or clean sweep 7, I'd say. So I shall speak to Professor Dumbledore and see if we can't bend the first wall. Heaven knows, we need a better team than us. Flattened in that last match by Slytherin, I couldn't look Severus Snape in the face for weeks. Then I want to hear you, Potter, or I might may try to change my mind about punishing me. Then she smiled. She suddenly smiled. Your father would have been proud, she said. He was an excellent Quidditch player himself. You're joking. It was dinner time. Harry had just finished telling Ron what had happened when he left the grounds with Professor McGonagall. Seeker, he said. And also I had steak and kidney pie, I think. I kind of had a steak pastry for breakfast, and I think it's like, you know. But first it's Never. You must be the youngest house player in about a century, said Harry, shoveling pie into his mouth. He felt particularly hungry after the excitement of the afternoon. Word told me. One was so amazed, so impressed, he just sat and gaped at Harry. I start training next week, only don't tell anyone. Well done, said George in a low voice. Wood told us. We're on the team too, beat us. I tell you, we're going to win that Quidditch Cup for sure this year. We haven't won since Charlie left, but this year's team is going to be brilliant. You must be good, Harry, which was almost skipping when he told us. Well, anyway, we've got to go. Lee Jordan reckons he's found a new secret passage out of the school. Bet that's the one behind the statue of Gregory the Smiling that we found in our first week. See you. Fred and George had hardly disappeared when someone far less welcome turned up. Malfoy, flanked by Crabbe and Goyle. Having a last meal, Potter? When are you getting the train back to the Muggles? You look brave now. You're all back on the ground and you've got your little friends with you, said Harry. I take you on my own tonight if you want. Wizard duel. Once only. No contact. What's the matter? Never heard of a wizard duel around. Of course he has. I'm his second. Who's yours? Crabbe, he said, midnight or white. We'll meet you in the trophy room. That's always unlocked. What is a wizard's duel? And what do you mean you're my second? Well, there's a second to take over if you die, said Ron casually, getting started at the last one to scored pie, catching the look. But people only die in proper duels, you know, with real wizards. For the most you and Malfoy will be able to do is to send sparks at each other. Neither of you knows enough magic to do any real damage. I bet he expected you to refuse anyway. What if I wave my wand and nothing happens? Throw it away and punch him on the nose, Ron suggested. Excuse me. They both looked up. It was Hermione Granger. Can't a person eat in peace? Well, I just need to see how many pages. What's always a street? No, I said goodbye. All the same, it wasn't what you'd call the perfect end to the day, Harry thought, as he lay awake much later listening to Dean and She was falling asleep. Neville wasn't back from the hospital when... If he tries to curse you, you'd better dodge it, because I can't remember how to block them. There's a very good chance they're going to be caught by future Mrs. Norris. 11:30. We'd better go. I almost told your brother. Hermione snapped. Percy, he's a prefect. Come on, he said to Ron. Hermione wasn't going to give us. She followed Ron through the portrait hall. It's not them like an angry goose. Don't you care about Gryffindor? You only care about yourself. I don't want Slytherin to win the House Cup. And you'll lose all the points I got from Professor McGonagall when knowing about switching spells. Alright, but I won't go away. Alright, but I warn you. You just remember what I said when you were on a train hunt tomorrow. So. Do you think I'm going to stand out here and wait for Phil to catch me? You've got some nerve, said Ron Daddy. Shut up, both of you. I heard something. It was snuffling. It wasn't Mrs. Norris, it was Neville. Thank you. Keep your voices down, Neville. The password's pig snap, but it won't help you now. That lady's gone off somewhere. Fine, said Neville, showing them. Madam Humphrey mended it about a minute. Good, well, look, Neville, we've got to be somewhere. We'll see you later. I don't want to stay here alone. The bloody Baron's been passed twice already. If either of you get us caught, I'll never rest until I've learned that curse of the bogies Cruel told us and used it on you. Uncle Vernon showed her mouth, perhaps to tell when exactly how to use the curse of both. But Harry hissed at her to be quiet and beckoned them all forward. Malfoy and Crabbe weren't there yet. The crystal trophy cases glimmered where the moonlight caught them, cups, shields, plates and statues. The minutes crept by. He's late. Maybe he's chickened out. Sniff around, my sweet. They might be lurking in a corner. They're in here somewhere, probably hiding. This way, Harry mouthed to the others, and petrified they began to creep towards us. Long gallery full of suits of armour. Run, Harry yelled. We've got to go back. Which way did they go? Quick, tell me. Say please now, where did they go? Shan't say nothing. If you don't say please, said Peeves in his annoying sing-song voice. All right, please. Nothing. Ha, ha. Told you I wouldn't say nothing if you didn't say please. Ha, ha, ha. And they heard the sound of Peeves washing away and filch passing rage. Hermione had given Harry something else. The dog was guarding something. What had Hagrid said? Greenwich was the word. It looked as though Harry had found out where the grubby little package Vault 713 was. Bye-bye. The end of chapter 9. Bye.